top 10 techniques to teach without being preachy. Number one, show, don't tell. And if you've watched me, you know I say this a lot. When you are sharing something vulnerable to yourself, when you're sharing one of your stories, it can be a story that is emotionally sensitive. It can be just something that, something from your past that no one may even know. I talked in another video about, being on stage and just, as a kindergarten first grader, and just being on stage. And that's not something that's like made me really vulnerable, but I shared that story in the hopes that people will, feel a little bit closer to me because I'm letting them in. Now, when you do that, you don't necessarily even know you're doing it. And that's what really helps, because me on this side of a camera, I'm building a relationship with people I may never ever know. I genuinely am pouring love across the camera, and I don't see faces. I don't know what your reaction is, and it's tough at times, but at the same time, I love it because I'm not doing this to get the praise, to get fame or anything like that. I'm doing it because I genuinely wish someone had been around to help me with knowledge, to help me with free teaching and things like that. So when you are able to show and not tell, your readers will see and feel and relate to your story. And it's not you saying, this is what you need to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're saying, so I went through this situation, and I did this. And on the other side of it, I ended up happier. And when you tell that story and you share your something of yourself, then the reader will be able to understand by watching what you did, and the reader will recognize the parallel to their own life, to their own stories, and they will be able to create that understanding on their own. So you don't have to tell them what to do. You just explain your story. You share your story and let them take that small little leap over on their own. Number 2, subtlety is key. So you really want to avoid explicit lessons or morals. Never, please never put the moral of the story is don't lie. If you wrote a good story and if it was engaging, then OMG, please tell me that your reader is smart enough that you didn't need to tell them that. Okay, so that's one of the things. When you overstate the obvious, they feel like you're talking down to them, and they feel like, gosh, this person is either such an arrogant something, or they must just really believe that the whole world is full of idiots. You don't want your readers to think that of you. You want your readers to know that you're just another person who has been through experiences, and you're sharing your experiences, and you're being vulnerable and open and authentic. And when you do that, your readers are able to interpret on their own. And so be subtle with your messages. Don't go over the top. Let them get right up to the edge, and then leave them, and then let them, you've saved time for them, you've saved heartache for them, but don't take them all the way there. Let them feel that accomplishment for themselves as well. Number 3 Empathetic characters. So something that's really important when you share a story is you, let's say, and I'm just going to throw out, uh, I'll use drugs. Say that you're going to share a story about drug use, and I let's say that I'll pretend I'm a drug addict. If I were a drug addict, I would share my story, and I would say, you know, this is what I went through, and I wouldn't say this is what I went through, 1, 2, 3, 4. I would draw the picture, and I would take them on that journey with me, and I would have the conversations that your reader would be the fly on the wall, and the reader would say, oh my gosh, yeah, this is a horrible thing. I really feel bad that the author went through that. I hate that they hurt that bad. I hate that they thought that, you know, being numb was better than feeling. So when you open up and you show things in a way that your reader can be empathetic, then the characters that you're writing about are going to teach as they come out the other side. So you don't have to put anything out there as, anything other than sharing your story. But you must be vulnerable. You must show the weaknesses of your characters, because if you don't, your your reader is still just going to feel like you're preaching. Don't put the weakness in that story, the things that that made them broken. Let your reader want to hug you and to tell you that it's going to be okay, or hope with you that it's going to be okay. But don't let them think that you're just saying, this is what happened and duh. So don't make sure that you're soft and you're authentic. Number 4, realistic dialogue. So use dialogue to convey the ideas subtly, letting the characters debate or discuss rather than dictate. So what I mean by that, and let's go on with the drug addict storyline. Maybe you're going to have an experience where this person is going through addiction and they're broke, they're out of money, and they sell their body to get drugs. Let that story be realistic, raw. Let your reader hurt for your character, because you're not going to say, look, I would like some drugs, and I know that's like silly, but let it be a real drug deal. Let it be where you said, hey, can you have a little extra anything? And maybe the friend / dealer might say, what do you got for me? And just let that conversation play out. Of course, you want it to be as close to the truth as possible, but you may not remember the exact details of a conversation. But in using that realistic dialogue of more or less what happened, if you sold your body to get high, then use that real conversation, that realistic conversation, because your reader is going to feel sick in their stomach that how did you get in this position? Oh my gosh, how are you shouldn't be doing that. How are you in there? And they feel so much for you. Number 5, use metaphors and symbols. These can represent really bigger ideas that allow the readers to arrive at insights on their own. That's kind of self-explanatory, but just make sure that you're drawing pictures for your reader. Let them get there without you spelling all of it out. Number 6, engage emotions. And I think I've kind of said this all along, but when you are tying the reader in emotionally, the emotional resonance can make lessons feel more personal and impactful. And by that I mean, whether your reader is a drug addict or not, just the simple fact that they totally feel for the character, they empathize with the character, they want to save that character, they want to hold them, they want to protect them, and when something bad happens or something good happens, your reader is going, because they're emotionally involved, your reader is going to be, oh God, like, whew, okay, good. They're rooting for you, and that's what you want. And that's what a good writer can do is you bring that reader emotionally in with you. Number 7, conflict and resolution. Every good story has conflict, and then a conflict doesn't mean you have to be fighting, though a lot of times it might, but that conflict might be something inner turmoil, an inner conflict where you want to believe that you have control of your body and that you don't need drugs or whatever it is, and you're going back and forth and some internal dialogue, some different things like that. But when you add that conflict, your reader becomes even more compelled to be there with you. But when you have a resolution, then your reader is right there in your cheering section. Number 8, use humor. Now, I know that I'm using this drug addict example for something to be very raw and as an example. You may think, how in the world are you going to use humor on a story about a person overcoming addiction? Well, it may be a little tough, but you can usually find something. But when you have a well-placed joke or a funny situation, it can convey something without feeling like you're lecturing them. I just every situation, every scene that you're creating, look for, especially if it's getting really heavy, because you don't necessarily want your reader to, for a prolonged time, to just feel like sick and scared and down. And you want to give them some of that emotional roller coaster that they're looking for in a story. Number 9, make it a journey. This whole thing is about learning a lesson, and they're not going to learn a lesson if your character doesn't start from like some point of hell and go through all of the conflict and the obstacles and then come out on the other side. They have to have that the win. So get your character to the other side. However you do it, make sure that your reader feels it with you, but get them out on the other side. And then number 10, let your characters learn. So the way that, in my opinion, the best way for your reader to learn a lesson is if your character learns a lesson. And if you're writing a memoir, your character is likely you. So that's usually the hardest, but the most important thing is use the words of inflection, reflection, and kind of make sure that in your story, you as the character, or your character, if for some reason it's not you, that your character learns a lesson. And the lesson may be something really profound. It may be something, that they're falling still just a little bit short of maybe the end destination, but they have at least learned a lesson. And when you do that, again, your reader will be like, oh my God, that was amazing. I'm so glad. I'm so relieved. And then as they're digesting what they've just read, they're going to be able to associate, this person did this. this person made it out. This person got out of their hell and they came out on the other side and now they're doing great. So when your reader sees someone who has a success story, and especially if it's a true story, then they can associate with that, and they believe, if they can do it, I can do it. I can get out of this. And that's what you want. That's really what your goal is. It's not to be a teacher. It's to show your readers that if I can do it, you can do it. Okay, so if you have any questions, please subscribe, like the video, and put any questions in the comments below. I do come in and check and interact with everybody. I really believe that showing your lessons to your readers is something that we all could work on. We could all get a little bit better with, and it's super important that when you're helping, you are sure that you're helping because you genuinely want to help, not because you want the praise. Because when you take the focus off yourself and you share your story with a heart of wanting to help someone else, the fact that you aren't the star anymore, the fact that you're showing the ugly side, the ugly journey, and then you get to show how you won and how you got out on the other side, that is in itself going to show through in your words. It really will. And I look forward to, in fact, make sure that you follow me, because I would love to see what your stories are. I love reading people's stories and getting to know who they are. Have a great day.